Hello everyone. For our video presentation today, we have chosen Steve Jobs as our transactional and transformational leader. This is because he shows conflicting behaviors between those two leadership skills. He was born on the 24th of February 1955 and was adopted by an encouraging and loving family. At a young age, he developed an interest in computers. When Jobs went to college, he dropped out after the first semester without telling his parents. This was because he did not want to spend his parents' money on an education that seemed meaningless to him. Despite that, he still attended a calligraphy course, which he used in the future to create multiple typefaces for his Mac. By March 1976, Steve Wozniak completed the basic design of the Apple I computer. In April of that same year, Jobs, Wozniak, and Ronald Wayne founded Apple Computer Company as a business partnership. Wayne left after a short time. When Steve Jobs was working in Apple, the CEO of Apple, John Sculley, and Jobs had different visions for the Apple company. It came to the point where John and Jobs' department operated like separate companies. A few years later, Jobs' company failed, and this strengthened John Sculley's position in the company. Since Sculley had a higher position in Apple, he put Steve Jobs in charge of new product development. This move made Jobs powerless within Apple. In response to this, Jobs then developed a plan to get rid of Sculley and take over Apple. However, Jobs was confronted after the plan was leaked. A few months later, he submitted a letter of resignation to the Apple board. A few employees also resigned and joined Jobs in his new venture. Steve Jobs founded Next Incorporated, and it was a huge success. In the end, Apple Computer bought Next after its own efforts to upgrade the Macintosh operating system failed. What a twist! 2 years after Steve Jobs founded Next Inc., Steve Jobs funded the spin-out of the graphics group, or now mostly known as Pixar, for $10 million. The company's biggest success came 5 years later when they were distributing Pixar's first feature film, Toy Story, for $30 million. 5 years later, Apple announced that it would buy Next Inc. for a whopping $427 million. So, Jobs went back to the company he had co-funded and became the de facto chief. Steve Jobs now concentrated Apple's efforts on returning to profitability. In the coming months, many employees developed a fear of encountering Jobs while riding the elevator. They were afraid that they might not have a job when the doors reopened. The reality was that Jobs' summary executions were rare, but a handful of victims was enough to terrorize a whole company. With his efforts, he has made Apple such a distinct brand amidst the world of fast-growing tech companies. In October 2003, Steve Jobs was diagnosed with cancer. He announced a 6-month leave of absence, but he was still involved with major strategic decisions. In 2011, Jobs announced his resignation as Apple's CEO. Despite this, Jobs continued to work for Apple until the day before his death, 6 weeks later. I know what you're thinking. How is Steve Jobs both a transformational and transactional leader? Here's how he applied both theories. As mentioned earlier, Steve Jobs showed conflicting behavior between the two leadership theories. Here's how Steve Jobs was a transformational leader. He motivates his employees to create something great. He makes his employees believe they are capable of creating something amazing. Under his motivation, Next was able to combine powerful hardware and software in ways that has never been done before. He also developed loyalty from many team members and emphasized the importance of teamwork to his employees. Steve Jobs was able to get an oddball group of creatives to find their footing and become the driving force behind some of the most successful and popular films of the past 20 years. He also gives inspiring speeches to keep his employees motivated and convey his innovative ideas to them. The top management has worked with him for years, and they give credit to Jobs for the best job they has ever done was only with him. When Steve Jobs was the CEO of Apple, he became a role model for his workforce by demonstrating characteristics he wished to see them display. Steve Jobs also believed in his employees and took a chance on his employees' crazy ideas. For example, Steve Jobs believed his employees' crazy dreams of making a computer-animated film. This is the one thing he always said was to simply make it great. This is why Pixar turned out the way it did, and Steve Jobs' strength, integrity, and love of life has made them all better people. Some people describe Jobs as a mature, mellow, and patient individual who never interfered with the creative process of the filmmakers. On the other hand, here's how Steve Jobs was a transactional leader. Steve Jobs hired employees that he knew would be able to endure his rants and be further motivated by them. He did not regard the feelings of his employees. He only listened to their ideas, which he found was more important. Whenever tasks had to be done, Steve Jobs ensured no mistakes would be made, as he was a perfectionist. Steve Jobs was a strict CEO. He often had his subordinates in tears, and in his angry temper, he fires the employees. He was also feared by his employees. Thus, interactions with Steve Jobs were the ones which most of the employees feared. This resulted to Apple employees to be pushed to the best of their capabilities. Nevertheless, he awarded vacation for his staff every year. In conclusion, it is good to practice both leadership skills. We can be a transactional leader, but we need to be a transformational leader as well. We have to be strict with our followers, but we need to motivate them. By doing this, you can increase the productivity of your employees.